So we want to evaluate this series to the sixth term, and so we want to basically just add up the first six terms. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're really only missing 2 of the terms. And so you got to look at the pattern and say, what did I do to -2 to get -8? And since it's a geometric series, we're going to be multiplying. So we're going to multiply by 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Times 4 gives us 128. So now we got to go 128 times 4, and that gives us the fifth term, which is going to be 512. The sixth term is -2048, and so now we just need to take these six terms and add them up. So if you add all those up, you're going to get -2730. Now if you wanted to use the formula to find the sum, it's just the first term times 1 minus r, the ratio to the nth power, over 1 minus r. And so our first term here is -2. 1 minus our ratio is that 4, so it would be 4, and we want the sixth term, so 4 to the 6, over 1 minus 4. And so this is going to become 2 times 1, 4 to the 6 is 4096, over -3. And so we get -2. -4095 over -3. And this reduces to -2 times 1365. And if you multiply that by 2, you get -2, you get -2730. All right, so now we want to determine the number of terms so that the sum is 364. So in this notation, there's nothing in front of the 3, so that means our first term is going to be 3. So, I'm sorry, our first term is 1, and the ratio, the common ratio is 3, so we're multiplying by 3 every time. So it's going to be 1, 3, and we're going to be adding. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. And so you can just keep going until you think you're going to get close to 364. So 3 times 27. So right now this is about 100. 110-ish, so not big enough. So now we'll do 81 times 3, which gives us 243. And so now I'm kind of thinking that if I add these up, they might equal 364. So let's check that. So if I add all these up on my calculator, that does equal 364. And that's what we wanted. And so happens at the sixth term. So if you want to use the formula for this one, the sum is equal to the first term times the 1 minus our ratio to the nth power over 1 minus r. So we know that the sum was 364. We know our first term was 1. So it's 1 minus our ratio of 3 to the n over 1 minus 3. So the 1 times this isn't going to change anything. So we get 364 equals 1 minus 3 to the n over a negative 2. Now get rid of that negative 2 by multiplying both sides by negative 2. And so we get 728 negative equals 1 minus 3 to the n minus 1 from both sides. Now we get negative 729 is equal to a negative 3n. So we want to figure out 3 to what power equals 729, and so you could just start typing in numbers, and eventually you'll get n equals 6. Now you could do this one the same way. Start and just start listing terms. So we know the first term is 2, and then the ratio is 1/2, so 2 times 1/2 is 1, and 1/2 of 1 is 1/2. And you just keep going until you think this would equal a 30/8. So I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to the formula. So our sum is the first term times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. So our sum is 30/8, which is going to equal our first term, which is 2, 1 minus a ratio of 1/2 to the power of n over 1 minus 1/2. And so we have 30/8 equal to 2 and so I'm going to get rid of this 2 on the outside by multiplying by the reciprocal, or a 1/2. And so now that gives me 30/16, which is equal to 1 minus the 1/2. And now I can get rid of that 1/2 by multiplying by a 1/2 again, because this 1/2 will cancel out this. And so now I get 30/32 equals 1 minus 1/2 to the n. I'm going to minus 1 to both sides, and I'll write that as 32/32. So now that becomes negative 2/32 equals negative 1/2 to the n. I can reduce this to and get rid of the negative on both sides, so this both become positive. So you get 1/16 equals 1 to the power of n. And so now the 1, any power 1 doesn't really matter, so now we're really looking at the 2. 2 to what power is going to equal 16? And that's going to be 2 to the 4th. And so if I did this to the power of 4, that would equal 1/16. So n is equal to 4. That one's a little trickier. On your calculator, like I said to start with, if you just did 2 plus 1 plus 1/2 and it equals, and just try to get it to equal that. Third one wouldn't work, but the fourth time that would have worked. So good luck.